My name is Jennifer Chesley. I'm 30 years old and I'm married with a daughter and a stepson. My experience as a mother, combined with my education and experience in working with children, have all become tools that I hope to apply as a teacher at your school. I have tremendous passion, a positive attitude, and lots of energy that I hope to share with young students that will leave a lasting impression. It is my hope that what I have to offer will shape their own perspective of their education in highly uplifting ways. I'm organized and cooperative, professional, accountable, a team player, and I lead by example. My philosophy of education at this grade level is to lead with a teacher-centered classroom and then with a student-centered classroom. I believe that students need an environment with structure and understanding of boundaries, rules, and procedures before they can work effectively in a student-centered classroom. These will be clearly defined through written social contracts at the beginning of the year so that all rewards, consequences, procedures, and expectations for academic work and behavior are clearly understood by every student as well as by their parent and/or guardian. I believe that focusing most of my time on positive reinforcement and those students who earn rewards place great emphasis on how important this is and sets an example for all students. Maintaining a consistent schedule, starting with going over the daily agenda, is how I plan to keep a structured learning environment. As we begin to transition more into a student-centered classroom, I believe that opportunities for social engagement will be highly beneficial for students to maintain their well-being, and that will have a positive impact socially, academically, and emotionally. I understand that students will be observing me and looking to me for guidance in every aspect during the school year. Therefore, leading by setting an example and practicing what I preach in my classroom will allow me to be the appropriate role model I hope to be for my students. Finally, I believe in consistent and constant observation and providing positive feedback to all my students. Their self-confidence and attitude towards their education will be greatly affected through their experiences with me in my class, and I want to ensure that they have a positive impact. I plan to begin with a teacher-centered classroom, and my goal is to end the school year successfully with a student-centered classroom model. I plan to use my knowledge and experience to build a curriculum and differentiate instruction that will allow me to create and maintain a learning environment that is inspirational, communicative, safe, and effective. This will require ongoing long and short-term goals that I will need to set for myself and my students, both individually and as a class. Teaching my students about boundaries such as the rules, procedures, and expectations will be an ongoing commitment where students are held accountable through signed social contracts. I plan to establish defined roles for myself and my students, especially as they begin to shift into the student-centered model of this classroom. I also believe that it will be crucial to maintain the organizational structure of my class to fit the management model I am currently implementing so that students can thrive productively in their daily activities. Based on my interviews, I would recommend a school model that embodies qualities among both schools. This would include strong support from colleagues, including recurring staff meetings and mentoring, implementing opportunities for students such as problem-based learning or PBL, the 4 C's, creativity, critical thinking, communication, collaboration, focusing on positive reinforcement rewards, utilizing resources such as teachers' aides and parents for support in the classroom, enforcing rules and procedures through signed social contracts, and switching students alternately for various subjects so that teachers can exercise teaching the subjects they are truly passionate about. In addition, I recommend the increased use of technology in the form of laptops, iPads, tablets, and classroom computers, with a 1-to-1 ratio being the goal for availability and usage. In addition, I recommend that students specifically in this grade level begin with a teacher-centered classroom model with the goal of transitioning to a fully operating student-centered classroom model by the end of the year. I believe that for second grade students, beginning the school year with the traditional classroom model is the most important and appropriate as well as effective approach. This would include completing tasks and activities as a class with me and listening in on step-by-step lessons such as math and reading This will require students to first learn together as a class at the same pace, where the focus is teacher-centered and students work independently from a more submissive aspect, taking and following my directions. I believe that as the school year progresses, students should begin transitioning towards a backwards design classroom model. In this model, the goal is to have students group together according to their performance level when completing assignments, academic projects, and/or tasks, and especially when progressing forward to learning new units of study. This will allow students to learn to work together and reap the benefits of increased engagement with their peers. It will also allow me to accurately differentiate instruction among each group so students do not fall behind and yet are not left unchallenged. As a result, I will be able to deliver specialized curriculum to the needs of each individual learner. This model is student-centered with increased engagement and freedom to work at their own individual pace, leaving me the availability to guide and support those students who are in greatest need of it. With regards to this position I am interviewing for, I plan to use both formative and summative assessments. Daily journals are one type of formative assessment I plan to have students work on in the mornings when they can share their thoughts and feelings on specific topics I assign, and also free write. This will allow me to connect with my students, allow them to connect with each other, and help me better understand their needs as an individual learner. Show and response techniques using whiteboards will be helpful during class activities we do in groups or as a class, so I can get a general idea of who is struggling with what content. I also plan to distribute quizzes, and this is to prepare students for end-of-unit tests and to give me an idea where each individual student needs more support so they are fully prepared for those tests later on. Summative assessments will be conducted during group projects that I assign, such as problem-based learning, end-of-unit chapter tests, and final projects. These will allow students the opportunity to show their skills and progress on an individual and shared perspective. I plan to have students create portfolios throughout the year so they can track their own progress and meet with them one-on-one to discuss narratives and major presentations so we can continue setting goals and meeting those goals. Building a professional learning community, or PLC, is done for the sole purpose of helping students reach their success. Whether it is done with colleagues or independently, building a PLC is crucial and part of the building blocks of my personal goal setting for myself and my students. If I entered a PLC-focused classroom, I would expect to see organized short and long-term goals laid out that pertain to my continuing education and training. Even though I'm a teacher, I like to think of myself as always a student because the educational world today is broad with so many unique students, and there is always something new to learn. I expect to see new professional relationships with my colleagues established and well maintained because there is so much value in shared knowledge and wisdom. I expect to work in an environment where everyone, including myself, is a team player and has strong communication skills. I expect to be able to share my knowledge with others and listen for constructive criticism, especially from my colleagues with years of experience. I expect participation to be high in school and community activities so that we as teachers can connect with each other and our students in a new atmosphere that builds strong relationships. Finally, I expect the number one priority to always be the students and what is in their best interests.